All right, so we are back with Jujimufu, or what do you want me to say?
You can call me anything you
call
want,
whatever
Dave.
you want. With
you've earned that right.
So we're checking up on the deadlift because we had last time he was out, we had a 700. I don't want to say we never said you were training for 700. What we said was if that's where you pursued after the show, we want to put you in a position that you're able to run that goal,
right?
If so be. So the show's over, then you actually went in and tested, while you still had the
1 week
pain on.
1 week, I still had Protan on my knees and stuff. About less than a week, I think it was 6 days after competition.
Yes,
I pulled 16 pounds off my PR, my all-time PR. So my all-time is 666, and I pulled 650. I probably could have done a little bit more, but I was like, cut my losses. Like, you know, this isn't really safe. I'm still dehydrated still. I'm still like not retaining much water here.
Of course.
It was fun, but I felt safe doing it. That's why I did it. You know, I just wanted to know.
It was interesting as an outsider looking in because what I took from that was not, without talking to you, not knowing what that next stage is going to be in the training is, well, obviously the extra bit of quad work made a difference to his deadlift because it was all about the VMO, right? How to bring up the strength of that. You know, we showed you the deficits and stuff like that, but a lot of what I was saying was I think the bodybuilding training in itself is going to take care of a lot of this. Because of that starting power was mainly from the VMO, which I think is what happened because you look at the pictures of your legs, you know, when you competed compared to last, you were leaner, so it's people don't know need to. So last time you were about that same percentage, right? Because you dried up more than things tighten up, especially more around the knee. But they definitely put more muscle mass on there, which made the difference. So now you're going to flip it into another show in June, which is not the powerlifting meet that you were thinking of doing, right? So that's life, guys. By the way, things pivot, things change. You want and not only that, but you want to take advantage of whatever path that you're on as it's going well. This bodybuilding path is going well, so it kind of makes no sense to pivot off of that path if it's going well. Because say you want to come back 2 years later and you don't want to have this, man, what if I would have just stayed on that path? Right. So now getting back to the deadlift becomes a different conversation because now it's about bringing up the hamstrings. Not so much bringing up the deadlift or your back. You know, back and hamstrings. But we were talking earlier about the hamstrings and then how to use the deadlift to build up your hamstrings more, which what I'm probably going to say is will be controversial to half the gurus online, but isn't everything everybody says controversial to half the gurus that are online? Because my advice was to not use the deadlift for your hamstrings because of this compound lift where you have long hamstrings, adductors, you know, those muscle groups are along with the tie-ins. You need to build your glute up, you know, to be able to make the hamstring look shorter, more isolation work, but to get the roundness, you know, into that hamstring. And it's going to work. That's going to work for a couple reasons because earlier I overheard you say I haven't done a whole lot of leg curls. So that's kind of like
only like past year.
Until the past year. But only see, that still throws red flags though. It's like, oh, if this is something that they haven't done before, then there's still a whole lot of low-hanging adaptations that can take place.
I think so,
you know, by putting that in there. But you also don't want to let your deadlift just go to hell.
No, because I feel like in the next 4 years, you know, I'm 36, up to 40, now is the time I have to get that. I have to have it.
It's going to, you know what?
To get past it, you know what I mean?
I think you're probably going to end up pulling the 700. You're going to pull over the 700 as you stay into your, it's not a bulk phase, but your non-competitive phase, your building phase, right? Because now if you went into a pure bulk phase, I don't know if I would agree because the hands swell up, it's harder to grip, you know, stuff like that. I know, but even your center of gravity starts changing so much that movements like the deadlift kind of get thrown out of whack. I think you're going to end up probably, knowing you're probably going to end up pulling it one day and end up just tripling it because the first one's going to be like, oh yeah, then you're going to be like, fuck, I'm doing another one. So that, I think, just as you put more muscle mass on, the hamstrings are going to build up, all those other things are going to build up, which is going to take care of that. So the question then is, where does the deadlift fall into the training?
Yes.
Okay, so multiple facets here. When we start looking at what the weak points are, what need to be developed, is the deadlift going to develop any of the weak muscle groups that we're talking about in the most effective manner?
Okay.
So we know the answer is yes, but I threw a caveat there. In the most effective manner, is the deadlift going to be the most important exercise to build the back, or the most important exercise to build the hamstrings? In the most effective manner, what would you say?
Well, from my experience, no.
That's all I need to know. From your experience, no.
The reason why is because I kept it in my bodybuilding prep, and then it was ruining my workouts. I wasn't able to
recover.
It would wipe me out. It was just like it's a hard exercise.
Yes,
I'm sorry, leg curls are easier than deadlifting.
Yes. Yes, so that's why I put it in there. It's not because I don't want to be the person that says, oh, it's anti-deadlift, bodybuilders shouldn't deadlift, because that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that it creates a higher recovery demand. So what's the benefit here? If it's going to create a higher recovery demand, but it's not going to, agreeably, it's not going to be the most effective means for bringing up the weak point, well, then the last thing you want to do is throw it into the training program that becomes in any way negative to impact recovery.
Okay, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, it needs to be in there, but now you need to rethink how it's going to be in there.
That's what I want to know.
Okay.
That's what I can't figure out. I don't know how to do this.
So there's ways to make the deadlift easier to recover from, right? One would be block pulls.
Okay.
So you're going to shorten the range of motion.
Okay.
Right? That also takes less of the stress off the lower back. We're not concerned about using the deadlift to build your lower back. If you're doing block pulls, and say it's just slightly snatch grip, so when you come, it's bam, you're flexing, right? So now the difference between this deadlift and your powerlifting deadlift is at the top, you're gonna almost try
squeeze
to
the glutes.
you're gonna squeeze your glutes, but you're gonna squeeze your lats. You're not gonna flare your lats like a lat spread. You're gonna squeeze. So right from here to here, which is normally all glute, this is gonna be bam, just flex the shit out of the lats as hard as you can. Which you hold that for 1 or 2 count, go back down, and then from here the start's gonna. You're just going to lat flex it up. You're not going to so much leg press it up.
Okay, so question. When you do that, are you focused more on making the exercise harder by flexing harder or by load? Because
flexing harder.
Okay, because when I try to do rack pulls, thinking like, oh, okay, it's only like this much, or block pulls for that matter, you have to load more weight in order to, and then that wipes me out.
Yes.
Rack pulls will me up too.
No, yes, because that then becomes one of the harder exercises to recover from because the weight's so high.
Yeah.
And there's no eccentric.
Okay.
So it's a dead stop. So think about if you just did a dead press bench and it's on the pins and you press up.
Yeah.
That's harder to recover from than a normal bench press. There's no eccentric. You're just going from a dead press. That's what every deadlift basically is.
Right.
So here it's gonna reduce the weight. You're gonna increase the time under tension. Just because it's a slower tempo.
Because you're holding it longer at the time.
And you're going to increase the tension, with that. So that takes that heavier stuff completely out of mind.
Yeah, that head, dude, exertion headaches, tension.
Yes.
So
that goes out.
Yeah.
This also, with the weights that we're talking about, can be off of pins as well. It doesn't have to be off blocks. Normally, I like off of blocks if it's heavier weight. It's easier on your bars. The bar has a little more flex. Off of a pin, like the pat rack pin, the bar doesn't flex, but you might be using 315.
How about like the wagon wheel things?
Wagon wheel's fine too.
Okay, that's like a block pull.
Yeah, that's like a block. So same thing, just what you don't want is to have to use the leg drive to start. You just want, there. The chains, if you saw the videos of John and I pulling with the chains, that was all about lats. That was not about lower back because it's not even really taxing the lower back that much till you get here. But then from here, it's all just cranking the back.
Chains
back
will make your butt catch on fire, basically.
Exactly. But you can, because you've done it several times with the chains, you think afterwards, man, that was awful. But then the next day, you're like, that was actually easier to recover from than deadlifts.
You're right. I didn't think about that.
So that's another way to kind of sprinkle that in there.
Oh, right.
Now, I would still pop in, after knowing you for a couple of years, you're still going to want to pull heavy here and there. I would pop it in there, but I would be more strategic about it.
Okay.
Say, okay, I'm going to pull heavy 8 weeks from now, and it's going to be kind of on this day. Okay. Round, not like a meet, but roundabout. That way you'll know going into it, all right, I probably need to lower the volume a little bit. I need to make sure the carbohydrates are a little bit higher, or the food intake's a little bit higher. Yeah. And then I want to take a couple days off afterwards, just to insert for the rest.
All right.
That way you're building it into the program and letting it complement the program instead of throwing it in the program and then having the program suffer because you threw it in the program.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, that was why I was having so much trouble.
Yes, and it's just thinking, where do you want to put it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be exact, obviously. It can be a week here. But as long as you know, well, maybe it's going to be a light arm day.
Yeah.
After.
You're talking about heavy pull.
A heavy
right.
pull.
Yeah,
really testing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that just with the other stuff that you're doing, you know, the pulling it with like almost a snatch grip, every time you do that, or anytime you do any of the other exercises you're going to do from the floor, if it's stiff legs, you're still going to do all these other things.
Yeah.
I would always do a few warm-up sets with 135 just to reinforce your technique.
Okay.
Right? Just so you don't forget how to pull.
Yeah.
So you'll be doing technique work on a deadlift twice a week.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, a barbell row could be a couple sets of technique work with 135. It's just part of a warm-up. Mm-hmm. That will keep that in there, so technically that won't fall. Okay. Structurally, it shouldn't fall. Yeah. You know, the muscularly wise, you should get stronger in all those weak areas. That shouldn't fall. Timing wise is where if it's going to fall, it's going to fall. Okay. You're just not going to have that timing to know, and you probably felt that a little bit when you took the weight after the show. Yeah. With your pulls. It felt good, but it didn't feel exactly like it should. Right. You know, just there's timing aspects to the deadlift as well. Go ahead and pull this with a wider grip just so I can see what you do with your lats at the top. So we would act like you're pulling it off blocks. A little bit wider.
Oh. I got long arms, remember?
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. Then you see here it needs to be, okay, drop it back down. Let's try to get harder here, there. Then
so at the beginning?
Well, yes. Then at the top, now flex harder, there.
Ooh, that's really hard.
Yes, like that.
You're serious about that, okay.
Yes.
I thought I was flexing hard.
Yes, just go down halfway like you're pulling off a block. All right. Or a block. And go back down again. So when you start, you're going to start almost like a row. Now pull up, no, now go. Stand up. See how you flex back now? Yeah. It's like a hybrid of a little bit of a row and a little bit of a deadlift.
So I'm kind of like starting here and then?
Yes, but make it all one motion.
All right.
See how much harder you can get the lats to contract. Now if you have a box, let's actually set it on something.
Oh, this?
Yeah, this is.
How many do you want?
I think there's 5.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Come on, you got the grip.
Huh?
You're the grip guy.
Oh, it's you can't fix a slip, no matter how good your grip is.
They can call you a grip genie.
That's a t-shirt for you right there. Okay, what I was trying to get you to do.
There. All right.
What I was trying to get you to do, because I was just being lazy, is have a little bit of a stretch in the lats here at the start. Okay. And then go from that stretch into that contraction. So before it leaves here, pull up just like you're pulling the slack out. But see how that's stretching?
Yeah.
Let it stretch. Now pull into that contraction. Now flex. There we go. Go down. Start with that stretch. Then.
Okay.
Then flex it down hard. There. Do about 2 more. All right.
All right. Weird question, but when I find the right weight to do this exercise with, would you recommend wearing a belt?
I don't think you're going to need. That's always upon you, but I don't think it's going to be heavy enough that you're going to need it. Okay. Are you starting to feel any bit of a lat pump right now at all?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's 135.
Yeah.
So I think, you see, so I think there's always a point with movements like this. Think of it almost like a dumbbell curl. Like you can do, you know.
I do like 65, but why would I?
There's always an effective weight. Maybe it's like the 35s on that day. Yeah. That's just like, this is perfect. This is just this is the same thing. right? So there's going to be that weight that's just going to be, yes, this is right where it needs to be. I'm going to guess and say for you it might be 275, maybe 315.
Okay.
When it starts to feel like you have to low back hump it up, it's too much.
Or if it's jerking my head too much?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I like now that I said it, I like the idea, think of it as a dumbbell curl. Because you know what that is. So then it's just, let's get this focused, squeeze lats. I don't think this would be a primary movement for the lats. I would put it secondary. I'd put it down a little bit more.
So this would be like a back day movement?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe like put as a second or third exercise in a back isolation workout.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So your pulls will move to your back day, right?
Okay.
Because you're not going to do a lot of pulls off of the floor.
Right.
Because most of that hamstring work is going to be heavily dominated with the leg curls and things like that.
Okay.
You know, obviously run this by, it's Dorian, right?
Yeah.
All this by Dorian first because he knows your body well more than what I do. I'd be surprised if he didn't kind of agree with what I'm saying here, but he's been training you for a while too, so he's going to have to figure out the balance of being able to put in that heavier stuff to be able to satisfy, because leg curls do kind of suck. They're kind of boring and stuff.
The reason I didn't do bodybuilding isolation work before is because all athletics and leg curls will kind of screw up flexibility work. Honestly, I'm still very flexible, so they haven't affected, but they have a short-term effect on your ability to express flexibility.
Yes.
Like if you do leg curls one day, then you're going to be stiff for 2 days afterwards
Yes,
if you do them really hard. But they have, since I had started doing them to prepare for this bodybuilding show, which had passed, they have added, like my hamstring. Like I can grab them now.
I know, but has that impacted the other
work.
Things though? Has it impacted the flexibility and the things like you think it would?
It did not, but like I said, in the short term, it would screw up training that because
but you've adapted to that, so you should hopefully be past that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives more options then too, because the only real option with the hamstrings was kind of volume based, a little bit of intensity, but now because they're stronger and they've adapted, now you got so much more things that you can do effort wise. With supersets and partials and segmented sets and with your hamstrings. That had you done it before, it would have compounded what you're talking about.
Okay.
Would have made it worse. So this would be able to take it further.
Right. So I think the problem I was trying to solve was how can I get deadlift training to hit my hams and help those grow as an exercise. I kind of wanted secondhand deadlift gains.
Yes.
You know, if I'm focusing on building the muscle, I wanted to use the exercise to build the muscle and then just have like it kind of on standby when I wanted to express it with more intensification phase later on. You know, you see what I'm saying? But what you're telling me now is the deadlift with my muscle insertions is a poor choice. A poor tool for building the muscle.
For now. For now,
okay.
yes, because I like to specialize things. I like to look at what's the pecking order here.
Okay.
Where's the deadlift compared to what needs to be brought up bodybuilding wise, right?
Yeah.
So the hamstrings have to be brought up more so than what that deadlift. So that's not to say in 4 months from now you have these huge hanging hot hamstrings, right? Then it's like, well, now we probably need to back off that other stuff and start putting in more of the movements that work from origin and insertion. So heavier on the stiff legs, right? So now you could take it and flip it, which you already see a lot of bodybuilders will do this. Powerlifters will always front end load, deadlifts, stiff leg deadlifts, all that origin to insertion muscle work, right? That's front end. Where the bodybuilders normally stick low back work, stiff leg deadlifts. At the end.
Right.
With a quarter per side. So stiff leg
pre-exhaust.
So at the very end. So it could that's where some of this could still stay in there. You just put it at the very end so you're in a more fatigued state. It's easier on your ego because now if you're doing speed pulls or whatever it is that you want to pull, it's going to be 275, 315, but it's at the end of all the other training. For now, I would probably still keep it on back day. That way, and your mind is going to force you to make sure that the weight always stays a little bit lighter so you can always focus on the lat contraction.
Okay.
And then if you start moving at the leg day, say now you get a bug up your butt and it's like, I want to push the deadlift. Take it off the lat day, put it into the leg day, put it about midday, priority-wise, and then just phase up. Not long, but phase up for maybe let's say you wanted to jump into meet 5 weeks from now, which is a crappy meet cycle, but you've done it, right? So you know how to do it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So say you want to do that, well then you just switch it for those 5 weeks, run it in there. You already have the base conditioning from your training, and you will by then to be able to say, okay, I just need to jump into a peak block and go.
Right.
You'll be fine, and you'll probably pull a PR.
Oh.
Just by staying away from it, because you're still building all these other things.
Right. Oh, I understand. That makes a lot of sense. So let me think for a second. My head's. Hope you.
Well, just, I guess
There's a lot of cool information
Yeah,
here. I think it's a really. I've never thought about like, okay, so we're going to move the deadlift in this part of the workout, and as you work towards a peak phase, you just start to move it.
let's just act
That's
like.
cool.
I mean, let me stay with the dumbbell thing for a minute. Let's act like your hamstrings are biceps.
Yeah.
Right. Hamstrings curl, arm curls.
Yeah.
There's definitely more to it, but think about this for a minute. If your biceps were a weak point, right, at your level, would the answer be only heavy barbell curls?
No.
At your level, right? You could definitively know, no, that's ridiculous.
Right. No, you have to do curls. My arms did not grow until I started doing curls.
Does your leg not curl kind of the same way as your arm?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So what would be the barbell curl for
The hamstring curls.
the hamstrings?
Yeah.
No. What would be? It would be the compound movement. What's the compound movement for the hamstrings? But I went with the barbell curls for the biceps because that's the compound movement.
Yeah.
That's the heaviest, most compound movement basically you can do for a bicep outside of a row.
Right.
What's the heaviest, most compound movement you can do for your hamstrings?
I guess a deadlift.
It's some kind of deadlift, right? It's a hip hinge, right? So that type of thing. You see what it does that kind of.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
I'm trying to give you things that so if you're training your hamstring.
The analogy is like, why didn't I think about?
Yeah, and that's what I want.
I'm doing it over here. Why am I not thinking about that?
Yes,
This over here. Why is there a disconnect? It's like, John, it's obvious. You know how to do this with a different muscle group on your body. Why are you so stupid over here?
Yeah. So when you're in the gym and you're trying to figure out, okay, what I'm going to do, because most of the time you're going to start with a plan, but then as training goes, you deviate, put different stuff in.
Yeah.
And so I want you to be able to think it's okay. It's hamstrings, and you're going to naturally want to drift to what you always want to do.
Right.
But that's just how we are. Is to stop and think, would I do this if it was my biceps?
Right.
That's that little pause will be enough to think, okay, maybe I want to go try this over here or try this over here.
Okay.
And then just pay attention, to your side chest and stuff like that to watch the fullness.
Yeah.
Because the only worry I would have was with avoiding all this other stuff, but you do squat, so I'm not that worried about that, is you'll start to lose that fullness. You know what I'm saying? You'll start to lose. Because all you did is isolation movement. You're not going to get, you're only going to go so far. There's a balance.
Yeah.
But I think your squats are going to be able to carry that through.
Yeah, and I think working on the isolation for my quads and the VMO really helped with my knee pain.
Yes.
And squatting. I used to have knee pain my whole life, and a couple of years ago I started doing more isolation work for my quads, and my knees are not too bad now.
Yeah. Well,
Gee, wonder of wonders.
Yes, it's getting in there. Your physique is right now. Your physique is pretty easy to pinpoint. This needs to be built. It's a good place right now to be able to figure out what those things are.
Yeah.
A couple of years from now, it doesn't. It gets to be a problem because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
That's what the judges, I guess, are for when it comes to the bodybuilding. But for now, it's just like this is glaring. This is glaring.
Yeah.
And
which is great because I know why those areas are. Like the hams are weak, for example, is because I never actually trained them isolation-wise until a year or so ago.
That and I think
now I
it's
just need more time.
Yes.
I just need more time for it.
And you didn't really. You didn't train them isolation-wise.
No.
But you really didn't train them that. You trained them, but you didn't train them that much either because it was all plyo, jumping heavy.
Yeah.
Then with the powerlifting, it's all heavy.
Yeah.
So every now and again we'll see powerlifters with big full hamstrings, but not often. Normally you see these thick cords.
Yeah.
Which is what I was trying to show you on the picture I was showing of yours, right?
Yeah.
You got these thick cords, but you don't have this bubble, this round, full bubble, right? So then it's what's the difference? Or the other rabbit hole is, can that even be changed? Mm-hmm. I kind of think so. Right?
Oh, really?
Otherwise, we would see nobody would. There'd be no competitive bodybuilders. You get what I'm saying? So there would be no power lifter that was ever able to convert and vice versa. Now, to what degree, that's where the bigger question is.
Gotcha.
You know, can you take something that's like corded and put a muscle belly on it? Yeah, you just make the muscle bigger. Now that to where?
Yeah. All right.
Nobody knows that. You know? Better than it is, right?
Yeah.
If you can always get just a little bit better, you should be able to do that, right?
Right.
Then you just do it again.
Yeah. I like it. Seems so simple in retrospect.
Yeah.
I like this because I do love deadlifting, and I have to, you know, use the next few years to get it to as high as it can go is what I want. I want it to get to a certain level, but you know, immediately I want to hit the bodybuilding shows, and I feel like adding the muscle in the right places is going to give me the secondhand deadlifting gains, and then I'm going to be able to,
if you want to pull
do an
heavy,
intensification, you know.
if you want to pull heavy, and that's like a stupid urge, like the dumb urges that I get, then I would probably fulfill it with a reverse band deadlift. Any type of heavy max effort type of deadlift that you've done before, that was easy to recover from.
Yeah.
Right? For you, deficits might be a little bit easier to recover from than off of the floor.
Okay.
Right? So that's where if you really, it's like, I have to do this. Because sometimes you just wake up and it's like, I need to do heavy shit.
Yeah.
Where then, I'm not saying don't do it at all, just make the choice of what's going to be the easiest to recover from.
Yeah.
For me, I know a lot of people can do a reverse band pull and they can, the next day, they're, you know what I'm saying, so you hang the bar. So maybe 135 just floats on the ground.
Yeah.
And then I work up from there, right? Because it eases up the start just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I think crushes most people.
That's what smashes me is that pull from the floor that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Well, cool. Now I got some new tools to work with. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's what we got. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Here we go.